I, 32, am a pretty low-key guy. I'm a software engineer, own my house, and I was dating my girlfriend for 3 years. She was great, but her male best friend was one of the most insufferable people I've ever met. You know the type. Acts like he's a main character in everyone's life and dispenses advice he never follows himself. The breaking point was at a fancy dinner I was paying for to celebrate my girlfriend's new online business. The MBF invited himself along as her business confidant. The whole time, he made little digs about my work-from-home job, imply it wasn't a real career compared to his grand, non-existent plans. I let it slide as usual, but then, as I was talking about a project I was proud of, he just snorted loudly. He looked my girlfriend up and down, then shot me a smirk. "You know," he announced at the table, "she could do way better than you." The table went quiet. He continued, "I mean, she's building an empire. She needs a shark, a real player, not some guy who just types on a keyboard all day." He waved his hand at me like he was shooing away a fly. My girlfriend just looked at me, embarrassed, but clearly expected me to just take it. I didn't. I calmly put my silverware down, took a sip of water, and looked the MBF right in the eyes. "You're a bartender who lives in his parents' basement," I said, my voice steady. "Your last big business move was trying to sell sketchy crypto to your own family. The only thing you're a shark to is your credit card company." His jaw dropped. I wasn't done. "You call yourself her confidant, but you're the one who told her to use that cheap, buggy website template that I'm the one staying up all night to fix for free, so her business doesn't tank." I then turned to my girlfriend. "And you let him talk to me like that, at a dinner celebrating your success, a success I've been supporting every step of the way." I put a $100 bill on the table to cover our food and drinks, said, "Take a cab," and walked out. The fight at home was immediate. She wasn't mad at him. She was furious with me. "You embarrassed him. You know how sensitive he is," she yelled. I told her he was a leech who disrespected me. She crossed her arms and delivered the final blow. "You are going to call him right now and apologize for everything you said. Apologize or we are over. I mean it." She stood there, so sure that I would fold. So I just smiled. I didn't say a word, walked into bedroom, packed an overnight bag, and left while she was screaming about me throwing away 3 years over one little joke. The next morning, my first call was to a lawyer. I explained the situation. She lived in my house. Her name wasn't on the deed. She didn't pay rent. My lawyer confirmed that legally, she was basically a long-term guest. But to make sure everything was airtight, she advised we serve her with a formal 30-day notice to vacate. "And do not, under any circumstances, communicate with her," the lawyer said. "Let the legal notice do the talking." So I went completely silent. My phone blew up with texts and voicemails from her, the MBF, and even her parents. They called me childish, cruel, and pathetic. I ignored all of it. A process server delivered the notice. She thought it was a bluff. During that month, I used my key to enter the house when she was at work and quietly moved all my important belongings into a storage unit. One day, I stumbled upon a piece of mail on the desk we shared. It was a default notice for a massive $75,000 business loan. The loan was for her boutique, and listed as her co-applicant and business partner, her. Everything clicked. His insult wasn't random. They were failing financially, and he was pushing her to find a better cash cow. I wasn't her partner. I was their potential bailout plan. The disrespect was a test, and I had failed it by standing up for myself. This realization turned any remaining sadness into ice. I immediately called a realtor and listed the house. We got a cash offer almost immediately and set a closing date for 45 days out, about 2 weeks after her notice to vacate expired. She spent the 30-day notice period living her life, assuming I'd come crawling back. On the final day, she had a lawyer send me a blustering letter full of nonsense about tenants' rights and illegal eviction. My lawyer just laughed it off. On day 31, I showed up at the house with a locksmith and a sheriff's deputy for a civil standby, just to keep the peace. Her car was gone. We drilled a lock, put a new one on, and I walked into a complete mess. She hadn't packed a single box. She really believed she had all the power. I had a moving crew on standby. We spent the entire day methodically and carefully packing every single thing she owned into boxes. We moved it all to a storage unit, for which I paid the first month's rent. The last thing we did was put the realtor's sale pending sign on the front lawn. I then sent a final email to her and her lawyer, detailing the address of the storage unit and where to pick up the key. I gave her 15 days to claim her property before it would be considered abandoned. Then I blocked her everywhere. About 2 weeks later, my phone rang with an unknown number. It was her. "My key doesn't work," she said, confused. "Correct," I replied. "Why is there a sale pending sign on my lawn?" she asked, her voice shaking a little. "It's not your lawn, and it's not pending. The sale closed last Friday. I don't own the house anymore." The silence on her end was heavy. "What are you talking about? Where's my stuff? My entire life is in there. Did you get my email? Your belongings are safe in a storage unit. The key is with my attorney." She finally exploded. "You can't do this. This is our home. I'm going to sue you." "No," I said, my voice cold and flat. "It was my home. You were a guest. You were given a legal 30-day notice. You ignored it and went on vacation to Miami. Choices have consequences." "This is because my friend made one joke," she sobbed. "It wasn't a joke," I said. "It was a strategy. How's that $75,000 business loan? You co-signed with him. By the way, I saw the default notice. I hope you know that when he can't pay, the bank will come after you for the full amount." The sound that came from her was a choked gasp. She had no idea I knew. All the fight just vanished from her voice. "Please," she whispered. "I made a mistake. I love you." "No, you don't," I said. "You love my stability. When you came home today, you finally learned what done really means." I hung up. I heard through friends that the bank did come after her for the full loan amount after the MBF declared bankruptcy and disappeared. Her parents had to take out a second mortgage to keep her from being sued into oblivion. She had to move back home. She chose her male best friend over me, and in the end, he left her with nothing but his debt. So, if you want tips on how to properly evict toxic people from your life and property, feel free to subscribe. It's a real fixer-upper process.